Okay.
Hi, Brent. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I've kind of been struggling a little bit. Um, I recently was met with my social worker and my daughter and trying to work some things out, and it just didn't go very well. And yeah, so I'm kind of struggling with that. Just you know, I went there, to work on some stuff, and the social worker spent the whole time talking to my daughter instead of me, and so it's just really been hard, and it's kind of it's a kind of a pattern, I think, just kind of feeling like I'm not valuable anymore,
Mm.
I think.
I could see that you really struggle with wanting to feel valued and to show even your daughter. And just stepping into this environment with a social worker kind of made you kind of lose that ability for your voice and for you to be able to tell even anyone how you feel.
Yeah, just yeah, I mean, my daughter was really great. Uh she noticed and stood up, for me. But that too is just kind of also, it feels like, well, I can't do it for myself, and
Yes.
it's just, I, and I do have, a lot of pain with arthritis and things, and my health is, going down, and so it all just kind of piles up. But but yeah, I just, because I do struggle with, hearing issues, but it, it feels like people think it's, um, I'm not smart enough to talk
Mhm.
to, that's how it feels, when they, would address my daughter instead of me. And
So it kind of puts you in like the opposite role, whereas your daughter's the mom
mm,
and you're the kid.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. I hadn't really thought about it that way, but yeah, I guess, yeah, almost almost does feel like that. Just
And
like, yeah, people are having to take care of me, and
yeah,
I can't do it for myself. And
and you want to do that. You want to show that you could take care of yourself.
yeah, yeah, I'm still, uh, in spite of all these things, I'm still me, and I still have uh, the ability to think and do, and yeah,
Mm. I could see that's putting like a burden on you. Like you want to be able to help tell or even tell your daughter how you're feeling, but you feel like if you voice how you were feeling with just this experience that you wouldn't feel valued.
yeah, I just you know yeah, just because I have a hard time hearing doesn't mean I have a hard time thinking. And
Exactly.
yeah, just yeah, and I think, people get impatient,
Mhm.
because it's harder for me to understand, but I can, if people just speak at me, to me, and I can read lips and hear well enough that I can understand what they're saying. But they just get impatient, and they don't understand, um, why I don't wear my hearing aids a lot of times, and uh, yeah.
And that is, just so you're aware, that is, everyone gets older, and
Mm,
everyone feels that they want to be valued. And I just want to express that you're not alone.
mm.
And just that, have you even tried talking to your daughter about how you feel inside?
Yeah, I feel like, my daughter does a really good job of,
Mhm.
like I said, she stood up for me at which, was I was glad, but at the same time, uh, I didn't like that she had to do that. I'd like to be able to do that myself, but it's more with other people, just
Mhm.
yeah, how they treat me, which then the way they treat me, does, because the social worker wasn't directing the talk at me. That's why my daughter had to intervene. But and so like with you, just the two of us talking, then I mean you don't have another option, and so I guess maybe that's something I can make sure and do, is just not get put in those situations, I guess.
And the biggest thing is that I hear that you kind of feel like you were invisible during this
Mm,
meeting. And
yeah.
that's the thing that kind of, I want you to understand that I want you to be aware that I do see you. And if you ever during any of our sessions feel like you need um, me to speak clear or louder, please let me know. I
Mm,
want to make sure to accommodate um, your hearing or anything, because I know that it could be difficult. And but I want you to feel appreciated as well.
I do appreciate that. That's yeah. Thank you.
And and personally, you thought about uh, expressing this to the social worker, or what happens when you're trying to get out of that, how should I say it, like zone?
Mm, yeah, it just like I said, it just didn't seem like I had that option, in
Mhm.
that instance. And yeah, I think, like I said, it just um a lot of times it doesn't feel like people want to take the time, you know, to even give me a chance. So I appreciate that you have been giving me the chance, and
Yeah.
that you expressed that.
Do you have like a support group you go to, or have you even tried to express this to maybe your daughter? Again, I think that it'd be crucial to express this to your daughter,
Hmm.
because communication is great. And for you to feel, so you can get out of that box of feeling that you're stuck in there, or that you are no longer invisible.
Yeah, that's something I definitely need to work on.
Well, I think, Brent, um, since we're about to wrap up, I think the next session, let's try to focus on helping you find different avenues on how you can communicate, and if when you feel you're starting to get invisible.
Mm,
And so then we can work on how to get you out of those. What do you say?
that sounds really good.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, I think that was, see what, remember the things we're supposed to discuss.
Yes, I believe it was, what would I do in the next session? So I really think the next session, maybe talk about how I would bring in, like, maybe later on bring in the daughter,
Mm,
so then she has the ability to express um how she felt with the social worker, and especially since they're both dealing with a social worker now, the woman clearly is feeling like she can't find um an avenue since she is feeling like someone else is going to control her. So getting her out of that zone, or getting you out of the zone of wanting to not feel like you're completely controlled.
right. And then, yeah, what would it have been like if it had been real? I think that's a good one because
Yeah.
if it was real, there obviously it would be more difficult to communicate
Yeah.
if they don't hear as well. So I
Hmm.
think that could be,
And that's the thing, is that knowing, like, because you don't know if they're going to express that they can't hear well, because they just might choose to mute themselves.
mm,
And so then you're like, so you're trying to communicate. So the biggest thing is like understanding clearly, like even if you do an assessment beforehand, kind of like a health assessment before they go in, of like what they need extra, so they already are aware.
mm,
But again, you don't know if the client's going to clearly share that,
right.
especially in the first session. So,
Yeah.
so to me, it'd be challenging. I don't know if it would be challenging for you, but I just personally would feel like, how do I know whether or not they can hear me properly, or
Yeah.
what the clear issue is? Because they might not even discuss what about hearing. They might discuss about like their relationship with their daughter.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it could, yeah, like exactly what you said. It could be really difficult to really figure out what the real issue is. And so, yeah,
And
just, I
yeah,
think,
even like
yeah.
knowing like what accommodations everyone needs. Because I was
Yeah.
reading like, oh, if someone has disabilities, making sure that your environment is like able for crutches and all that. And it's like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. And like, yeah, they said like the noise level or even the
Mhm.
lighting. I mean, any of those things could
Yeah.
possibly be problem or challenges for
And I
different.
don't know if it also has to depend, like if the counselor is going to only focus on people with disabilities, but again, not everyone with disabilities is coming in to discuss their disability. They could be talking about marriage issues. So
Right. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And not getting stuck on it's about the disability. And
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
So,
Um, which I think that kind of goes into how do you gain multicultural confidence with diverse
ex-
population. I mean,
yeah.
it's all those things.
And I think the biggest thing is like having that first session and trying to just do like an introduction kind of feeling, instead of doing like kind of diving in straight into counseling, more like getting to know about the person. And then if they even start talking about the issue, then you could go into, all right, I figured it out. Let's try to work on that.
Yeah.
Because you personally, I think you want the client to feel comfortable, and you want them to truly feel like they can control, or they can feel like that you're handling their life basically, or their thoughts. So they want to feel like they can trust you.
Yeah. Yeah. That you get them, or at least you're
Hmm.
attempting to understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was good.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually want to go into disabilities, so that's where I want to focus my counseling
Okay.
on. Yeah, but for kids, more kids than adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you want to work like through the schools or separate?
Either through the schools or I would go through the hospital, and it's called a child life specialist. And
Okay.
so I would help them when they're being diagnosed with like cancer or um even a cut on their finger or something. So I could like it's basically trauma counseling, but I would interpret art and play therapy with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. I love this session.
Good. I'm gonna go ahead and stop.
Okay.